The rain hadn't stopped since the funeral. It fell in slow, steady sheets, washing the black ribbons from the flowers people had left outside the house. By the time I pulled into the driveway, my mascara had long since mixed with tears. I hadn't realized I was still crying. 24 hours earlier, I had buried my husband, 36-year-old Daniel Carter, the man who had rescued me from loneliness 10 years ago, the man who had promised me that no matter what happened, I would always have a home. Now he was gone. I stood in front of our house for several seconds before noticing something strange. A moving truck. Two men carrying out our living room sofa. At first I thought they had the wrong address. Then I saw Daniel's father, Richard Carter, standing on my porch, giving orders. Take the dining table next. No, not that box. The silverware goes with the family. The paintings too. I froze. What are you doing? Richard slowly turned toward me. There wasn't a trace of sympathy on his face. Only satisfaction. You came back. I looked from him to the movers. My husband was buried yesterday. I know. So why are strangers carrying my furniture away? He folded his arms. This property reverts to blood family now. Then he smiled. A widow isn't blood. Pack your bags. You've got until tonight. For a second, I couldn't even breathe. This is my house. No, this was Daniel's house. And Daniel is dead. His words hit harder than the coffin being lowered into the ground. I paid this mortgage with him. I renovated this kitchen. I planted those roses. Richard shrugged. Doesn't matter. My son is gone. Everything comes back to the Carter family. He nodded toward the movers. Be grateful I'm letting you keep your clothes. The movers avoided looking at me. One young man quietly whispered, I'm sorry. Richard barked. Keep working. Neighbors peeked through their curtains. Nobody came outside. Nobody asked questions. Grief has a strange way of making people silent. I simply walked into the house, past strangers wrapping my memories in blankets, past empty walls where our wedding photos had hung, past the bedroom where Daniel had taken his last breath after losing his battle with an aggressive heart condition. Every room echoed. Every step hurt. Richard followed me. I hope you're not planning to make this difficult. I turned around. No, I'm not. His smile grew wider. I knew you'd be reasonable. I nodded. I just need 1 hour. He laughed. Take 2. You'll need time to cry. Instead, I walked upstairs, closed the bedroom door, opened Daniel's old wooden desk, reached into the hidden compartment beneath the bottom drawer, exactly where he had shown me 3 years earlier. If anything ever happens to me, he had said, don't tell anyone about this. Inside was a thick envelope, still sealed, my name written in Daniel's handwriting. Emily. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were 3 things. A handwritten letter, a flash drive, and a key. The letter began, My beautiful Emily, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I know my father, better than anyone. He'll pretend to mourn me. Then he'll come after everything, especially this house. Please don't argue with him. Let him think he's won. Because he forgot one crucial thing. Everything important is no longer in my name. Love always. Daniel. My heart pounded. I picked up the flash drive. Inside were scanned legal documents, property deeds, bank records, business ownership papers. Then, the final document, a trust agreement. 3 years earlier, Daniel had secretly transferred every major asset into an irrevocable family trust. The sole trustee was me, the house, the land, the investment accounts, even the family company shares. Richard no longer owned any legal claim. Not one. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed. For the first time in weeks. Daniel, you brilliant man. There was one more note. The key belongs to safe deposit box 418. Everything else is there. I called the attorney whose name appeared on the documents. Mrs. Carter? Yes. We've been waiting for your call. You knew? Daniel instructed us. He believed this day would come. The lawyer arrived less than 40 minutes later, with 2 police officers. Richard looked annoyed. What is this? The attorney smiled politely. Good afternoon. I'm here regarding ownership of this property. Richard laughed. I've already taken possession. No, you haven't. He handed Richard a certified copy of the trust. Richard barely glanced at it. This is fake. It isn't. I'm Daniel's father. Correct. But you are not the owner. Richard's face changed. What? The attorney continued. 3 years ago, Daniel legally transferred ownership into the Carter family trust. The trustee. He looked at me. Is Mrs. Emily Carter. Richard turned pale. No, no, he wouldn't. He hated paperwork. The attorney smiled. He completed every page. Richard grabbed the papers. This isn't over. It actually is. He pointed toward the movers. Continue loading. One police officer stepped forward. No, they'll be unloading. The silence was almost beautiful. One by one, every piece of furniture came back inside. The dining table, the couch, our photographs, Daniel's books, even the old rocking chair his mother had loved. Richard stood frozen, watching everything return. Then the attorney spoke again. There is one more matter. Richard looked exhausted. What now? The trust also includes the family investment company. Richard frowned. So, the majority shareholder was Daniel. Upon his death, the voting rights transferred. He looked directly at me. To Mrs. Carter. Richard whispered. No. The attorney nodded. As of this morning, you are no longer chairman. Richard looked like the ground had disappeared beneath him. Within minutes, his own phone rang. It was the company's board. They had already voted. His position had been terminated. His office access revoked. Company credit cards canceled. Security instructed to escort him out if he appeared. Everything Daniel had built was now protected, exactly as he intended. Richard stared at me. You planned this. I slowly shook my head. No, my husband did. You just underestimated him. He walked toward the door. Older, smaller, broken. Before leaving, he turned back. I was his father. I answered quietly. And I was his family. After everyone left, the house became silent again. I walked through every room. The movers had placed everything back exactly where it belonged. I reached our bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and cried harder than I had at the funeral. Not because I had won, because Daniel had spent the last years of his life protecting me from a battle he knew he wouldn't survive to fight himself. 6 months later, I transformed part of the company into a charitable foundation in Daniel's name. We helped families struggling with medical bills and legal expenses after losing loved ones. Thousands of people found hope because one man had planned ahead. Every year on Daniel's birthday, I sat beneath the oak tree we planted together in the backyard. I would read his final letter again. The paper had become worn around the edges, but one sentence still stood out more than any other. Real family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love, loyalty, and the promises we keep. And every time I looked at the home we had built together, I smiled. Because Richard had been right about only one thing. Someone had forgotten one crucial thing. It just wasn't me.